Hi, my name is Carissa Wilson. I'm a student at La Trobe University studying Masters of Teaching, and I'm going to be giving a presentation today on health literacy in health and physical education in the Australian curriculum. Although it is largely still misunderstood or poorly understood by the general populace, the links between low levels of literacy and poor health is gaining more attention amongst prominent international bodies such as the World Health Organization. The links are often indirect. For example, low levels of literacy often lead to or arise from low socioeconomic circumstances, which in turn can be associated with poor health. Health education includes health literacy, but health literacy has its own definition and inherent concepts. For example, functional health literacy has been referred to in the United States of America for 30 years, meaning somebody's ability to be able to interpret their own needs for health through consumption of information surrounding health. Poor functional health literacy has serious implications as it can result in incorrect or misinformation and even incorrect medications being consumed. Another concept which is often referred to in health literacy is communicative or interactive literacy, which involves being able to analyse the deeper meanings behind ideas and apply this to different situations, particularly through social interaction. Additionally, critical literacy is even more complex and can be defined as the ability for one to be able to analyse information critically in combination with sound social skills to enable the individuals to have more autonomy over their own lives. The World Health Organization refers to literacy as something that encompasses both the social and intellectual competency of individuals to enable them to obtain, comprehend, and use relevant information in looking after their own health. So this is consistent with both critical and interactive literacy. Now I'm going to talk about health literacy and how it relates to the Australian curriculum. So we should start by looking at first the overarching goals of the health and physical education in the Australian curriculum. So the aim is to help students to take care of their own health as well as the health of others and promote students to continue participating in health and physical education for the duration of their life. The curriculum content also includes a section called Critical Inquiry. And this encourages students to evaluate the various things that influence health and health literacy, such as current social, cultural, and political themes. This links to the notion of both interactive and critical literacy in that it encourages students to do more than just participate in physical education and to question it and think about its relevance to broader society. More specifically, there are two substrands in the curriculum: personal, social, and community health, as well as movement and physical activity. The personal, social, and community health strand has broad aims and incorporates the social, cultural, and political context, as mentioned above, as well as the development of emotional and mental health. Whilst the movement and physical activity strand is more focused on undertaking and practicing movement skills. The two disciplines are designed to be taught in symbiosis. For example, on the Australian Curriculum's website, one example of work samples for Year 3 and 4 physical education is a worksheet whereby students have been asked to detail some movement and exercise examples which are prevalent within the community and how these are beneficial to health and well-being of individuals and communities. This is an example of interactive and critical literacy. More specifically, evidence of functional health literacy is also taught throughout the curriculum and throughout community objectives, particularly in the later years of primary school and high school, focusing on being able to research and interpret information about students' own health and the health of others. Many activities and elaborations also involve students developing on their general literacy skills while developing health literacy skills. I've talked about what health literacy is and how it's embedded in the Australian curriculum. So now I'm going to talk about the how and why of health literacy. So why should we incorporate health literacy into school-based physical education programs and the potential challenges and limitations? The World Health Organization reports that improving access to and the quality of primary education in particular is going to be a major determinant in raising levels of health around the world. They also impress the point that raising literacy levels across the board will not just lead to a major international development milestone, but it will also contribute significantly to improving public health. health literacy is gaining increasing traction internationally and accordingly is one of the key parts of the Australian curriculum. And schools have been identified as being significant agents for the promotion of health literacy. Both the National Health and Hospital Reforms Commission, Health Preventative Task Force in Australia, recommend that Australia include a number of facets of health literacy in the curriculum. Additionally, scholars and international forums have identified that access to information regarding health and health education is a significant factor in long-term health and well-being. The challenge or limitation, if you like, is put fittingly by the World Health Organization, as they state that health literacy is so much more than just teaching students to be able to read information on health, so that functional literacy, and involves individuals feeling equipped to be able to critically analyse information and possess the necessary skills to be able to look after their own health effectively. Now, the Australian government is actually one of the first to endeavour to incorporate health literacy into a government-based curriculum. And whilst there's no doubt that teaching health literacy is beneficial, the limitations come about the way that this is actually implemented. So there's often a tendency to tick the box and just take a blanket approach, a one-size-fits-all, which can render programs like this largely ineffectual. So it's suggested by some scholars, such as Alfrey and Brown, that for the most part, surrounding physical education in Australia has been somewhat simplistic. And whilst the curriculum does now seem to take a more complex view of health literacy, the devil is in the detail of how we implement this. So they suggest that we ensure that we don't digress from the curriculum in our teaching and that we tailor teaching to students' needs and current competencies in health literacy. Other research also indicates that this limitation is not just confined to Australia. For example, Kale and Alfrey, in their 2013 article, which is focused on health literacy in the UK, suggests that teachers often fall short of delivering the complex themes in health education and end up teaching heavy on sport and physical instruction. So they recommend that we ensure that teachers are adequately informed in teaching health literacy through mechanisms such as professional development. Furthermore, other researchers such as Quenestedt, Burrows and Mavstotter reinforce the complexity of teaching health literacy. They propose that one of the limitations in teaching it is that it's often taught so simplistically to imply that someone can just achieve a full bill of health. Instead, we really need to recognise, as they suggest, and communicate through teaching that health is dynamic and definitions of what is healthy will change over time. So it's a moving feast throughout our lives, which we need to keep reassessing. In summary, from the research that I've referred to in this presentation, it is my belief that evidence strongly suggests that teaching health literacy beyond just that basic or functional health literacy is very beneficial. Some of the limitations of doing that is that if teachers do not ensure that they understand how complex health literacy is, for example, critical literacy, and the dynamic nature of this perspective of health, that the Australian curriculum could actually fall short of its aims and become a tick-the-box scenario. Therefore, teachers and schools must ensure that they accurately reflect the complex nature of the topic to enable students to continuously make decisions about their own health and be able to see the bigger picture of health and what it means in respect to their communities and beyond. Thank you very much for listening.